Well, good afternoon, everybody. Excited about a great win we had on Saturday. Extremely great team win on the road in a really tough environment, really hot down there. Played a ton of guys on the trip. I think we played more than 60 of our 70 players. So everybody had an impact on the game, and all three phases had an impact on it. And we're improving. We still have a long ways to go, but we're excited about the progress we're making. The open week for us comes at a good time. Obviously, some guys are beat up and banged up, and there's other guys that just haven't practiced for so long that we need to have really good, sharp practices with those players. We've got to get recovered the guys that have been playing a bunch. We just need to continue to push the program forward and continue to improve in all three areas. So open up for questions.
Start with Kellis.
Hey, Chris, I didn't get to say it on Saturday, but congrats on the win.
Appreciate it.
Initially, your update on Skylar was pretty positive last week, and then it devolved into him being out for the season. What changed during that process?
Well, I think more information, more than anything, Kellis, is just throughout the week they were trying to gain as much information, visit with doctors, have a bunch of different appointments, and at the end of the week became evident that the most positive thing for him long term was going to be to shut him down and have surgery. And so always looking to find out the best interest of what it is for all the student athletes. And that was the case late in the week. And so had conversations with Skylar, a couple texts with his dad. I know that Coach Klein visited with his dad, and it was just something that I thought needed to be done. And I think Skylar was at peace at the end of the week.
What can you tell us what the exact injury was and what kind of timetable he might have?
I'm not going to get into that right now. As far as it was an upper body injury.
Do you know how long it might take him to recover?
I'm not quite sure. I have not seen him. I've had a couple of texts with him and stuff. I'm hoping to see him today or tomorrow, but we were off yesterday. And so, and I haven't really got a chance to visit with the doctors other than Mindy saying he's doing well. But I need to visit with him here this week.
And I also recall when you were at North Dakota State, you had a year where Carson got injured and you had to play a young Easton stick for a while. Are there any parallels between that you can draw on this year with Skylar and Will?
Yeah, absolutely. One, Carson was Easton's best coach, and we had a really good coach in Randy Hedberg, but Carson was with him every day, helping him with the game plan, helping him with understanding the scheme and things. And I challenged Skylar to do the same, and I know he will with Will Howard as well as Coach Klein. And so that's one thing that was a big challenge. And the other thing is, we just challenge everybody on the team to raise your level of play. And it's never going to be, and it never will be about one player. It's about everybody rising up and raising their level of play. And it doesn't matter if you're the offensive line or the defensive line or a specialist. When you lose players, your other positions have to step up.
Derek?
Yeah, Coach, is it fair to say that A.J. Parker might be shining more as a nickel than he did as a corner?
Yes, in our scheme, he definitely is. He's very comfortable playing nickel in the things that we're doing, whether it's a zone concept, man concept, combination of man and zone concepts. He feels really comfortable seeing that middle of the field, so to speak. And I've been really pleased with his play. He made a great interception at a critical time that really turned the game in my mind. It got it to a two-score game for almost the entire second half, but just read the quarterback's eyes and kind of baited the QB and made a pick, and then obviously made a great return with some really good blocks. But AJ's playing at a really high level.
After the game, you were kind of unclear what happened with some of your wide receivers and weren't sure and didn't have any answer. Have you gotten any answers since?
Yeah, a couple of them were just not able to go on Saturday for a variety of reasons. I think tightness, hamstring, groins, whatever. And so we went with the guys that were available. And so proud of the way those guys played. And obviously it's not long term from those injury standpoint, but we took the guys that we thought were going to play, and a few of them couldn't, and that's football too. I mean, that's not the first time, and it's not the last time that'll ever happen at any position, and that's why you prepare a bunch of guys to have the opportunity to step up when your number's called. And a kid like DJ Render did a great job. He hadn't played that much football in a long time, and DJ did a great job.
Thanks, Coach.
John?
Yeah, Chris, what will be the biggest focuses for you guys working with Will here during the bye week?
Everything, throwing to receivers, understanding our run game and how we can get us in the best call based on whatever front they may be in, or running away from a pressure. And then I know that Coach Klein wants to get back to a lot more just base fundamentals and technique and footwork and arm slot and some of those things. Just that when you get thrust into a role like he did against Texas Tech and then ultimately against TCU, boy, a lot of times you're just focused on what's the game plan, what's the what are the adjustments and stuff. And we need as collectively as a football team to do a lot better and work on our fundamentals and techniques at all positions. And so for us, that's going to be a focal point this week.
Do you know right now Skylar is planning on trying to come back next year for you guys?
Have not talked to him about it at all, so I'm not sure.
Is that a situation where you guys would welcome him back if that's what he wants to do?
Well, we'll have a conversation like we will with every senior, and that's something that we know has got to happen, sooner rather than later at some spots. And it's, once again, we're just getting into an open week where we have had no time, and now that's something that we'll look at, not just with Skylar, but there's a number of players just in general. What's our thought? What's the young man's thought? Now, are we going to have, concrete conversations with every senior on the team this week? No, because that's not fair to them. Some of them need to see where they're at degree-wise. Some of them need to see where they're at with regards to having an opportunity to play at the next level. There's so many variables to it. How many games will we play? I know the Baylor and Oklahoma State lost a game, and so hopefully that'll get scheduled again, but we could be in the same boat. So, but in time we will.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
Fitz?
Coach, returning to the receivers topic, how important is it for you to reestablish playmakers, not pass catchers, not guys that are going to go downfield and catch, but playmakers at the receiver spot to complement what Deuce and Briley are giving you in the passing game?
I think it's going to open up for the receivers because of what Briley and Deuce are doing. I mean, we're really attacking the middle of the field, so to speak, with those two players in particular. And the outside is going to become more and more open. People are going to start, and I know it already happened a little bit against TCU. TCU is a really tough opponent to answer that question on because they glue up everybody, and they doubled Briley sometimes, they doubled Deuce sometimes, they were over the top. There's no easy throws against TCU, no matter what position you play. But moving forward, we really believe that more and more attention is going to come to Briley and Deuce. So we have to do a great job these next couple weeks of establishing and making some really good plays to our outside guys.
And after going back and looking at the game film of the TCU game, what did your defense do best on Saturday?
With the exception of the touchdown drive to end or late in the fourth quarter, we tackled really well. They got a couple of jet sweeps on us on that drive that we didn't tackle well. But we played a lot of zone coverage, which allowed more eyes on the football, and we were able to make open field tackles, and we did not give up the explosive play. And they had a couple of runs in that late drive that were explosive plays, but throughout the first half and most of the third quarter, we didn't give them a freebie, and we made life tough on their quarterback because he'd beaten people with a 50-yard run somewhere, a 40-yard run. He had a big run against us last year, and we were able to keep the cup, corral him, and get some good shots on him that I think just made it more difficult for those guys. And so collectively, we just, at all three levels of the defense, we played well. We can play better at all three levels, but it was really complimentary football on defense. The D-line, linebackers, and secondary all did their job.
And I've heard you discuss this before, but in this strange year in which we're living, and the inability to have a whole lot of hitting in practice, no spring football, how remarkable is your team's ability to tackle at that level right now?
Well, it's been better. It wasn't good the first week, wasn't good the first half against Oklahoma, and from that time on, it's been much better. But it is really difficult. And you're right. In 2020, nothing's going to surprise me in college football, from wins, losses, and everything else in between of how the game is played, the crispness, all those things. You just don't have enough practice time. And even though people say, "Come on now, you're in game." I don't know. We're going to go into game 5 with an open week. We've had plenty of practice time. We've had dozens and dozens of kids that have been out 15 to 25 days and missed all that practice time. That's where people are like, well, it's a great chance for you to get fresh. Yeah, a Briley Moore, a Drew Wiley, just throw 2 names out that have played every snap because we don't have a lot of backups, or if we did, they've been on COVID or had been in a close contact. Those guys don't need as much this week. But all the other players that have missed substantial time, and that's upwards of 3+ weeks. Football is a hard sport to play when you just go out and practice at one time. It's like playing golf. You just don't go pick up your sticks and go shoot 75. At least I don't. Maybe some guys do. And football is no different. You don't just, hey, I'm going to go out there and play 3 technique, or I'm going to go out there and play left tackle and try to block somebody after not doing it for 3 weeks. That's hard. So that's why we've got to get back to the basics.
Karen?
Coach, you touched on this a little bit, but knowing Skylar from growing up in this area, he talks about the bond on the team and the leader he wanted to be. So when you lose a person in that position, the quarterback, the leader, what do you have to do with the rest of the team other than just say, hey, step it up? Because it's like taking the heart out of your offense most.
Absolutely. And that's why he's still going to be around us a bunch. And he can still be a great leader, just like Justin Hughes was last year. There's so many guys that he can fall back on and talk to that have been in his shoes that, man, I just had my season taken away that quickly. And he's not the first, not the last, unfortunately. And this is part of the game, but I know it'll make him hungrier. It'll make him appreciate, not that he hasn't, but appreciate the game more. It makes everybody that's in his position think, wow, this can be taken away. I want him to be a great example to the young players, just like Justin Hughes last year was, of don't take any opportunity you have to play for granted. Our other guys, captains, leaders, have to step up, because you bet Skylar was a great voice for the team. Noah Johnson's going to become a bigger voice. Briley Moore is going to become a bigger voice. Harry Trotter, Sebastian Taylor have to become bigger voices on offense. Defense, we've got a lot of guys that talk, but on offense, it usually was Skylar and then some auxiliary players. Those auxiliary players I mentioned have to step to the forefront.
And Coach, one other question. We've heard, of course, Coach Miles at KU has come down with COVID. You have time off, but you're getting ready for the Sunflower Showdown after that. Have you reached out to him at all and talked to him, knowing that, he's been sidelined?
No, I have not. I don't have any contact information. I probably can get it. I wish him well. And just like all of us wish everybody well that's gone through this crazy illness. And I'm also smart enough, and we talked about it as a team meeting yesterday, guys, this COVID's not over with by any means. And we're still going to practice this week, and we're not going to give the guys Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. I want to make sure they're in the safest environment they are in Manhattan, safest environment they are with Kansas State football. But guys, I understand we could have a test on Wednesday and 2 coaches could be gone. Myself, I could be gone. I know that the guys are following the protocols and doing it the right way, just like I'm sure Les was. You just don't know with this disease. And so it can happen to anybody. And so that's why we are just hammering every day the social distancing, the wearing masks, the washing your hands, all the things that you can do to prevent this, because it's far from over.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet. All right, we'll do these last 3 hands raised, starting with Kellis.
You mentioned opening things up for the receivers. When that starts to happen, who are 1 or 2 guys you're really going to lean on to pick up their play there?
I think it's all of them, Kellis. I mean, we have a number of guys that can make plays, and that's the last thing I want to do is put pressure on one kid or another kid. That's part of the thing that I don't like about college football right now is these kids put so much pressure on themselves. Then all of a sudden they hear in the media that a coach is putting added pressure on. We need everybody to step up, and that's across the board, not just the receivers, but the O-line, the running backs picking things up, the tight ends and stuff. We have to have everybody raise their level of play on offense.
That's fair. I also want to know, as you actually got into the game, did you feel the offense flowing any differently or going any directions with Will Howard that you maybe wouldn't have with Skylar?
Not as the game went on. I didn't feel that. I don't think, no matter who played quarterback, that was going to be a defensive struggle. Both teams had really good game plans on defense. I think both teams are playing at a high level on defense. You just watch over years. It's tough. You watched this here last year. It's tough to move on that great defense. And so I just thought it was one of those games, and it's all about matchups. There's other matchups where you get into a 57-54 game, and this early on in that game I knew was not going to be one of those matchups.
Arnie?
Yeah, you talked earlier, I think on the last bye week, about going back to a train fall camp mentality, and I think in large part because of COVID. Are you getting any more normalcy now in your practices, or are you still kind of attacking it the same way?
We have to attack it the same way, Arnie, just because of what you said. We have so many guys that haven't practiced for so long, or were back last Wednesday and Thursday after being off for 3 weeks. Or we had a guy back for Texas Tech that first day I saw him from 14 days was on game day. We just, and that's the world we're living in. And so we have to practice. We're not as long as we would be in fall camp, but we have to have that same mindset with the guys that haven't had the repetitions as the other guys have, just to try to catch them up so that we can continue to play more guys, because it's also, we're finding out, because of the lack of practice time and the time you have on the field, guys are getting injured more. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And so we have to make sure that we have multiple guys ready to play at a variety of positions.
Last one here, Adam.
Coach, the reason Will Howard came to K-State was so he could get more playing time early, and he said he was excited to get his first start in, but obviously it wasn't the way he imagined it to be. Just how truly ready and excited do you think Will was to make his first start and now be the starter for this team?
Well, he was excited for the opportunity. And we knew when we recruited the young man that he had that it factor that we didn't think it would be this year, but you never know when your opportunity does arise. But we just told him, you prepare every week like you're going to play. And I know that he did that. And it's probably one of the reasons that he had success against Texas Tech, was his preparation was so critical that it gave him an opportunity to be successful once Skylar went down. And he wasn't, I'm sure he was a little nervous. You wouldn't have known it. I talked to Noah and some of the offensive guys and said he had total command of the huddle, was very confident in the huddle. And that's what we really knew we were going to get with Will, and we're expecting, because he has that it factor. There's certain guys that you just know handle the stage really well, and he's one of those guys.